On paper, the Starkey Omega AI is a no-brainer. We have cutting-edge AI technology, health tracking, premium sound quality. So today, let's dig a little deeper and find out, is the Starkey Omega AI the right hearing aid for you? My name is Dario Coletta. I'm a doctor of audiology, and I've helped hundreds of people to achieve better hearing, but also solve complex cases of hearing loss. Today, I want to take a look at the Starkey Omega AI. Now, I know this product has been released for about a month or two now, so I'm not the first one to release a review. I wanted to make sure that before I came on and gave you my thoughts, I really wanted to be able to test it out on both new users, so people who have never worn hearing aids before, but also existing hearing aid users. And we have a good mix in that group of people who have either worn previous Starkey hearing aids or they've worn a different manufacturer altogether. Now, I'm happy to report on both sides, we've had a lot of really positive feedback, most notably talking about how natural it sounds. And we'll get to the reason as to why that probably is the case a little bit later in the video, so make sure you stick around. So the first thing I want to touch on about this release is that I'm happy to report they released a full family of products on this platform. So that's going to include our MRIC, which is the smaller behind the ear option that we're seeing here. We also have the RIC RT, which is the larger behind the ear option that instead of a single push button has a rocker switch for up down and is also compatible with the new Cross. We also have a 312 disposable battery RIC, and then we also have a CIC, so completely in the canal with a disposable battery, as well as both an ITC and an ITE rechargeable battery. Now, I really like this because we're able to fit a wide range of patients because of the release of all of the different styles. In the past, we would often see that hearing aid manufacturers would release their product in the most popular option, which is often the smaller behind the ear. So it's nice that we're not having to wait a few months to about a year or so before we see this chip make its way into all of its other products. Now, I also think the form factor is just really quite nice. When we have selected the proper color, we've measured your receiver wire appropriately and selected either the right style of dome or custom ear mold, this device fits really, really well. So we have the receiver wire running up the side of my ear, and then we have the behind the ear piece there. Now, leading off of form factor, one of the other things I can appreciate that Starkey has added is an indicator light on the actual hearing aid. Now, this is something that I've always had grief with Starkey hearing aids in the past, is there's no indicator light on the hearing aid. Now, I know this may seem simple. To me, it gives people that visual confirmation that they're doing something right. So when I first put the hearing aid in the charger, I get a light that flashes green to confirm it's made that connection. Now, I will say, I'm not a fan that the green light doesn't flash while the hearing aid is charging to give me that visual confirmation, but it is in the charger, so we'll give them that. The indicator light is also very nice too because it gives you visual confirmation if you ever need to use the push button. So if I'm holding this hearing aid down for about 5 seconds, I get a red flashing light, which has confirmed to me that I've turned the hearing aid. If I hold it down for a few seconds again, I get a green light, which lets me know that I've turned it back on. We also get a visual confirmation with the indicator light when we've had a successful pairing. But I think the coolest feature of the indicator light is in the Find My Hearing Aid function in the app. Now, of course, I hope you never need to use the Find My Hearing Aid feature, but if you do, you're kind of in for a show. So our indicator lights are going to flash red and green quickly. So this gives you a great way to kind of run around the house, run around outside, looking for your hearing aids. Now, in keeping with design, one of the other really nice things about this launch is the coating. So in Starkey's previous product, they were using a Pro Shield 8, whereas now they've upgraded to the Pro Shield 10. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, this is durability. A better coating on your hearing aid is going to reduce the amount of moisture, dust, debris getting into your product, which is going to impact its sound quality. As an audiologist, if I think back to what is the most common reason we have to send a hearing aid out for repair, it's moisture. So if we're able to improve the coating on your hearing aid and reduce the amount of moisture getting into that device, we're probably going to see that we're not going to have to send your hearing aid out for repair. The sound quality is going to be maintained for the lifespan of that device. Now, let's touch on battery life. One of the first things that anybody asks me when I'm recommending or prescribing a hearing aid, and it's rechargeable as well, how long is the battery going to last? This battery life is really quite exciting. So in our MRIC, which is our smallest option, we're getting up to 41 hours of battery life. If we jump up to our RIC RT, we're getting very close to 51 hours of battery life. Now you may think, well, why do I need all this battery life? Well, your hearing aids are these really sophisticated computers doing a lot of action in real time, so they need energy. You'll also have to imagine if you're streaming, if you're connecting to wireless devices, that's using up energy. But the biggest part is we have to imagine that your rechargeable battery is going to degrade about 20 to 25% over its lifespan. So if we're able to kind of pump the hearing aid full of battery life in year one, as you get to your 4 or 5 year mark, you really should have no concerns with battery life. Now to go back, the RIC RT is also compatible with the Cross, and that's giving us 29 hours of battery life. This is huge. If we look at the industry average for a rechargeable Cross, we're ranging from about 12 to 18 hours. That's fine in year one, but if you get to year 4, year 5 with that same Cross, you may get to a point where you're having to recharge it in the middle of the day. Now, speaking of battery life, let's talk about charging. Now, like most manufacturers, there's 2 versions of the charger. We have what I call our standard charger, and we have what I call our premium charger. On the outside, these don't really look all that different, but it's what is on the inside that counts. So, like many manufacturers, a standard charger needs to be connected to power at all times in order for it to charge your hearing aids. Now, for demonstration purposes, I don't have any cables attached to my chargers. But one of the things, if we look closely, is we'll see there's a red and a blue circle for right and left. When you place your hearing aids into a standard charger, those red and blue circles are going to flash white while your hearing aid is charging. Once your hearing aid is fully charged, those lights are going to go solid white. When you place your hearing aid into the charger, they will automatically turn off. When you remove your hearing aids from the charger, they will automatically turn back on. My preference is always a premium charger. Now, the difference, if we look, we can actually see my hearing aids are charging without being connected to power. And the way we can differentiate what's a premium charger versus a standard charger is we still have our red and blue, but we also have this middle section here. So if I take a hearing aid out, we'll see those turn on. And that's because this charger also has a battery built into it. So if there's a power outage or you're traveling, and we have lots of patients who are taking long flights or they're going up to their cottage where sometimes power is a bit spotty, a premium charger is an excellent option. I will say my one grievance with the premium charger is these middle lights to me are a little deceiving. I would like to see that these are indicating how much charge is actually in these hearing aids. But this actually reflects how charged the charger is. Now that's something that I can think can easily be moved to the back of the charger while giving people still an awareness of how charged their hearing aids are. That's kind of one thing I'd like to see different in the future. But in terms of ease of use, very easy to open lid, easy to remove the hearing aids. You'll see we have 2 small battery contacts, which make it very easy to pop the hearing aid into the charger, but also very secure. So for people with dexterity issues, low vision, this is something where you're going to be a lot more comfortable and confident with knowing that your hearing aids have made it into the charger properly. And both of these use a USB-C cable. So the nice thing about that is many of our devices that we charge are all migrating to a USB-C cable. So I like to tell people, in the past, if you were traveling, you had to bring a cable for each product, your iPhone, your iPad, your Android, your hearing aids. Now, all of our products are moving to the USB-C, so you can kind of take one or two cables and share them across devices. I think those are all amazing, but you're probably really here for, what does this hearing aid sound like? Now, I think there's some really exciting features, especially in our 24 or premium level product, that really allows this hearing aid to excel. And that's both in comparison to other hearing aid products, but also previous generations of Starkey products. In those people that we fit either for the first time or existing users, one of the things they've all come back and reported is that it just sounds natural. And that's whether they're sitting at home in a quiet room, reading a book, or in a really noisy restaurant, or getting together with their family and noises from all around. They're able to sit there comfortably, but also confidently, knowing that they're following all of the conversation. Part of that is really due to this DNN 360. Now, DNN stands for Deep Neural Network. In the Starkey Omega AI, we have this DNN 360. Now, what does that mean? Now, let's think about listening for a minute. If I'm sitting at home reading a book and it's quiet around me, my hearing aid is going to work very differently than if I'm sitting in a room having a conversation with a couple of friends. And again, it's going to work very differently if I'm out in a noisy restaurant or if I'm at the mall. And it's also going to work very differently if I'm on the sidewalk walking down the street. With AI technology, the AI is predicting the environment so that directionality can happen in real time. With DNN 360, the AI predicts the environment so that it can adjust in real time, not after the hearing aid has already analyzed the environment. And so to kind of go back to my examples, this DNN is working in 4 different modes. Omnidirectional. So it's searching from all around us. Again, that's me sitting in a quiet room. Then we have DNN directionality. So the hearing aids are adjusting based on where sound and noise is coming from. We have DNN spatial awareness. And then we also have motion-based optimization. Now, I think that's a huge jump in technology for hearing aid patients. Although AI and having all of these advanced features can almost seem overwhelming, especially for people who may not be tech savvy. But I always explain to people that although there's a lot of technology built into your hearing aid, that technology is built to run behind the scenes, taking away the work from you and allowing you to hear as naturally as possible with doing as little as possible. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by having all of this technology in your hearing aid. It's there to help you, not intimidate you. Now, this is not a new introduction or a new feature, but I still really enjoy Edge Mode Plus. Now, I'm going to show you an example on the screen here, but when you activate Edge Mode Plus, you're going to get a prompt from the hearing aid that it's analyzing your environment. Once it's completed that, you're going to be able to make one of 3 selections: the best sound, reduce noise, or enhance speech. Once you hit save, you are now allowing the hearing aid to work differently, purely based on your environment. Now, the nice thing about Edge Mode Plus is it reanalyzes every 2 minutes. So if I activated Edge Mode Plus for one environment, and now I'm on my drive home, that hearing aid is adjusting differently for my car than it was the restaurant. Now, what has that experience been like for our patients? I find most people spend their time in their default program purely just because it sounds more natural, but is adjusting better for the environment. However, we have some patients who really enjoy the Edge mode and they feel like just makes listening that much easier. Now, I'm going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into the app. But one of the other really exciting things about the Starkey Omega AI TeleHear. And so TeleHear has existed for a long time. And so that basically gives an audiologist or a hearing health professional the ability to conduct a virtual appointment with you from anywhere in the world. As long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, we can have a hearing aid appointment. Now, on the theme of AI, we now have TeleHear AI, basically an audiologist in your pocket. Let me explain why. So your hearing health professional or your audiologist is going to send you a code that you're going to enter into the app. You're ever out and about, or you're in a restaurant and you're just having some difficulty, you can go into the app, type in your concern, and TeleHear AI is going to give you a few different options of what can be done to improve your hearing abilities. Once you agree, it's going to save and it's going to implement those changes. Now, how does it know how to make those changes? Well, part of it is just really smart technology, but the other part of it is Starkey took some time and interviewed hearing health professionals on the most common complaints to understand how they would adjust someone's hearing aid for that setting. And so when you go to TeleHear AI, it's taking into account all of that information. Now, the nice thing is if you don't like the settings, you can revert back to what you had before. When you come in for your appointment to see me, your audiologist, we actually get a prompt to let you know that TeleHear AI has been implemented. And so we can either review it and agree with it and save it, or we can have a bit more of a discussion and really understand what changes we need to make. Now, I think this is some really exciting technology, and I think it's really pushed us into an area where hearing aid users are really enjoy wearing hearing aids purely because they're hearing better than ever before. One of the other aspects I like to think about when reviewing a hearing aid is connectivity. Now, with Starkey's Bluetooth, we're going to be able to connect wirelessly to phones, whether that's an iPhone or an Android. You'll also have access to hands-free calling on both of those options. And this is going to come with a very stable, high-quality streaming for phone calls, music, podcasts, anything that's going to produce sound on your phone or wireless device. We also have access to Starkey's excellent wireless accessories. That's including the Edge remote microphone, the Edge table microphone, as well as the Edge TV streamer. Let's look at health and wellness tracking as well. And we'll maybe dive deeper into the app in a separate video, but we're really going beyond hearing with this health tracking. The Omega AI is going to track your steps, balance, fall risk, and even respiratory rate. We're basically turning your hearing aids into part of your overall health wellness toolkit. They have also introduced Balance Builder. And so these are exercises designed to improve your balance. The gyroscope as well as the accelerometers in the hearing aid ensure that you're doing the exercises properly and track your results. Now, my thoughts, it's an excellent product. I have really had an easy time fitting it, but people have been really happy at their follow-ups. My thoughts, I'd give this a 9.5 out of 10. And let me tell you why. I would like to see the indicator light actually flash while it's in the charger to give people that visual confirmation that their hearing aid is charging. The other thing I'd like to see is moving that light bar from the front to the back of the hearing aid to indicate how charged the charger is, and giving an indicator light on the front to let you know where along the charging process your hearing aid is. The other thing I'd really love to see, especially because of speech clarity, is I'd love for Starkey to take this technology and put it into a superpower product. We don't have a lot of options for superpower products. They don't often get released on the same timeline that other hearing aids do, but this technology is really exciting and can provide superpower users with that extra clarity and comfort that they're often looking for. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share this video.